we will pray. Our scripture lesson for the purpose of the prayer is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 13. Our scripture lesson for the purpose of prayer is 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 13. I love it in Xhosa when it reads as follows. Thina ke ngokwedinga lakhe silindele elitsha izulu nomtsha umhlaba apho kume khona abalungisa. My theme will have been for the day, the grace is waiting on a new beginning. The grace is waiting on a new beginning. We were all informed about the renewal of ANC. If I had enough time, I will have prepared your mindset and your spirituality before you renew the ANC. Because there is no way that we can send you out of this conference when your mind and your spirit is not renewed. You will be a problem for the ANC if we don't start with you, the person, the character, the spirituality. Because when we send you out as raw as you are, without having received the information, you will drop the ANC in the long run. When we don't deploy you, when we don't satisfy you, because you're not ready spiritually. So we're supposed to shape you right so that you should be ready for the renewal of the ANC. May God bless you. May God keep you from falling. Let us pray. UnguThixo wethu, thina singabantwana bakho. Please bless us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend Mafa. Let's give Reverend Mafa another round, comrades. Thanks, Rev. I think one of our commissions are ready, Comrade Rodney and the team. Can a rapporteur come to the podium and give us a report?
7 minutes.
Yeah. Comrades, let's be time-wise, comrades. Let's be time-wise, please, because we have to travel very far. There's somebody who lost his stick. No, it's with me. And also Reverend Marfa lost his iPod. And I think there's somebody who lost his or her bag as well. So if comrades, if there's a comrade who are in possession of it, please bring it to the table. Thank you very much.
He's asking for trouble. Viva ANC, viva. Viva ANC, viva. Long live ANC, long live. Long live ANC, long live. Eta ANC, eta. Eta ANC, eta. Gister was ons vol energie, wat ons vrou van Samaria sing. Nou die energie is nou weg, nou weet nie wie het vir ons nou lekker gelei gister met vrou van Samaria. Ek het, wat ek volgende in die shower, as het ek ook daar gesing, alleen vrou van Samaria. Okay. That was a lekker song. Comrades, I'm assigned the responsibility to table the declaration of conference, basically almost the second last item before conference closes. Let me start by reading it out. We, the delegates to the 9th Provincial Conference of the ANC, are congregated in Namakwa region at Namakwa Guest Farm under the theme Unity, Renewal and Reconstruction in the year of Charlotte Maxeke. We are meeting during a time that the organization is engulfed with enormous challenges that threaten the very existence of our movement. These challenges, which include, among others, corruption and factionalism, require us to be steadfast in our resolve to renew and reconstruct our organization aimed at enhancing the integrity of the organization in order to restore its pristine image. The Provincial Conference served as a platform to consolidate revolutionary organic unity in the province. And secondly, it served as a platform to launch our 2021 local government elections. President Ramaphosa addressed us on Saturday. The President implored participants to discuss how the idea of radical socio-economic transformation can be realized at grassroots level, where they come from. He further called on delegates to ensure that the conference formulates clear answers on how the pace of delivery will be accelerated and access to basic services improved. Our provincial conference is taking place during a difficult period, engulfed by dismay and grief caused by COVID-19 virus that has ravaged the entire globe. The challenges presented to us by COVID-19 are not only in the health sector, but the impact of the novel virus has plunged us into an economic crisis that has seen a large number of our people retrenched or their income reduced. The deep-seated poverty and inequality in our society has been exacerbated by challenges presented to us by COVID-19. We however acknowledge the efforts by the ANC-led government to mitigate what could have been a much dire situation without that particular intervention. We urge all members and society at large to continue observing the COVID-19 regulations and protocols for us to avoid a third wave which may turn out to be more dreadful than the first and the second wave. The organizational renewal plan that our conference adopted has a strong component of political education and training, which includes skills development for every PEC member and ideological development of all members of the movement. The Provincial Conference reaffirms that the National Democratic Revolution is the primary program of the African National Congress and its alliance partners. The strategic goal of the NDR is the resolution of the three basic interrelated contradictions of colonialism of a special type, namely super-exploitation of class, racial oppression, and gender oppression. The main content of the NDR remains the liberation of Africans in particular and blacks in general from political and socio-economic bondage. The conference notes the departure from the vocabulary of the ANC. Populism is starting to gain currency in the organization. This distorts the political outlook of the ANC to narrow nationalism. The Provincial Conference reaffirms that the ANC has never been an anti-white organization. The ANC has always been a non-racial organization. The current phase of our democratic transition requires us to embark on a program of radical economic transformation that seeks to build an inclusive economy aimed at reducing abject poverty, massive unemployment, and deep-seated inequality. Delegates were emphatic and unanimous that vigilance should be the order of the day in dealing with the current crisis of corruption in the public sector and in the private sector, noting that corruption networks will not accept their fate without a fight. The delegates reaffirmed their support for the decision taken by the NEC that all comrades indicted must step aside from their political positions of responsibility. On the issue of candidates for local government elections, the province noted the decline in the support base of the ANC as a result of poor service delivery, but also weak leadership at municipal level. For the nomination of ANC candidates, the Provincial Conference directed that candidates who are popular, not only in the ANC, but in the community should be identified as candidates for the ANC. Conference further directed that not less than 50% of all candidates should be female, and women should be adequately represented in mayoral and speaker positions. Comrades who plunder municipal resources should be identified and isolated. On the Integrity Committee, the Provincial Conference is concerned about the hammering of the image of the ANC. The Provincial Conference therefore instructs the incoming PEC to establish a Provincial Integrity Committee as a matter of urgency to deal with deviant behavior. On disciplinary matters, it says instilling of discipline among ANC members remain one of the fundamental principles underpinning efforts of renewal within our movement. The Provincial Conference therefore appeals to ANC structures not to be hesitant to enforce discipline in the organization. The implementation of disciplinary action in the province must not have eyes also. On the state of the Progressive Youth Alliance, the Provincial Conference noted with concern the general state of the Progressive Youth Alliance, which continues to impact negatively on the mobilization of youth structures. The weak, non-existent, disbanded, or at worst, divided leadership has hampered the ability of the Progressive Youth Alliance to marshal the youth of the Northern Cape Province under one common program. This has weakened the voice of young people, especially when it comes to championing issues affecting the majority of youth, such as unemployment, substance abuse, and access to entrepreneurial opportunities. On the alliance, the conference was unanimous that the alliance in the province must be strengthened. An urgent political council must be convened to discuss matters that affect the alliance in the province. On the election of the PEC, The branches of the ANC in the Northern Cape Province have never spoken more clearly than through the kind of team they have bequeathed to us. It is an energized, vibrant, strong and winning team comprising of talented men and women, young and old comrades, whom collectively are forced to be reckoned with. Team ANC Northern Cape Province is made up of the following Provincial Executive Committee members: Comrade Provincial Chair Zamani Sol, Deputy Chair Bentley Fass, the Deputy Provincial Secretary Comrade Maruping Likwene, Treasurer Comrade Fufe Makatong, and then you have additional members Comrade Adams Joyce, Yunus Bujosi, Dapula Vilakazi Nontobeko, Magdalena Davids, English Helena, Finis Lorenda, Job Owen, Jordan Violet, Cluster Nurin, Lukwetsi Dineo, Manopule Mase, Marekwa Poni, Mlangeni Sizwe, Njandana Zolile, Moiman Kenny, Mwalusi Moses, Molele Lerato, Monakali Zolile, Mutlaping Lebukhang, Mpitso Vuyani, Mtintelo Atobeka. We need to affirm this name so that everyone should know who are their leadership. Nyelele Cornelius, Olifan Cecilia, Peter Elroy, Peter Rodney, Sitole Sandiseni, Swartz Roger, Van Wyk Sabina, and Vetwe Anna. Comrade Anna is the chairperson of the International Relations Committee. Only those who served in the previous peace would understand that joke. We've not yet even discussed committees, but already you can see she's the front runner. In conclusion, there is no doubt that the resounding success of the 9th Provincial Conference has given us the basis upon which to wage a battle as we head towards the 2021 local government elections. We will be going back to our people to report to them about our resolutions, which are aimed at addressing the issues of grave concern that they have raised with us. We now have a clear plan of action to take back to our people. Amanda.
Amantla. Thank you very much, Comrade Provincial Secretary. Comrades, that's the declaration of conference. Can we get the hand for adoption of the declaration? That's a hand, Comrade. It looks like Comrade Wende, I can't see. And the chairperson of the region.
Deputy Chair Comrade Wende Marekwa moves for the adoption of the conference declaration.
All right, Deputy Secretary.
Good morning, Chair. The Deputy Secretary.
Thank you very much. Yeah, there's unity in the Secretariat. Thank you very much, comrades. Comrades, now it's the time to call on the provincial chairperson, newly elected chair of the province, to come and close our conference. Can we welcome the provincial chair with a warm revolutionary song to the podium? Can somebody lead us with the song?
siyelele. Uyaho, siyelele ma, sekuzokali pazuka, siyelele. Uyaho, siyelele ma, sekuzokali pazuka, siyelele. Sekufikile thina, bafana bomkhonto, sekuzokali pazuka, sifikile thina, bafana bomkhonto, sekuzokali Amandla. Viva ANC, viva. Viva the Revolutionary Tripartite Alliance, viva. Viva the ANC Leagues, viva. Amandla. Comrade Chairperson, thank you very much for this opportunity. Let me, as I'm closing this conference, again greet the members of the National Executive Committee of the ANC who are here with us. And comrades, I'm certain you know through our proceedings, we had the Deputy Secretary General who was with us for 1.5 days, gave us a keynote address for this provincial conference. We had the President who also gave us a reflection on contemporary challenges which are confronting the organization and the country. And also we got some presentation from Comrade Joel, who actually dealt with a very critical matter, which is the balance of forces, and as well as the strategy and tactics. And this morning, we got another presentation from Comrade Elvin, who is a member of the National Executive Committee, deployed as the Deputy Minister for International Relations and Cooperation, who actually built on what Comrade Joel presented on the balance of forces, global balance of forces, the challenges and the opportunities which are there. And I think we need to give all these comrades a nice round of applause for injecting some sense of purpose in our engagements in this 9th Provincial Conference. Let me thank the convener to the province, Comrade Colin, is still here with us, who dissolved us and who brought us back again. And also I want to thank Comrade Nakolo Kivit. We call her Sis Noxie here in the province, and she's got a shanty in Kimberley. She's moving from the Eastern Cape to the Northern Cape now. We'll have a second home here in the Northern Cape. And Sis Nakolo was running up and down together with the Electoral Commission to ensure that our processes are above board. That's what is important about conferences. Because there are people who are already threatening us to go to take us to court, and the only response we give them is that bring it on. That's the only response we give them, bring it on. And we beat them in and out every time, and we'll do it again. We'll do it again, because when we convene these conferences, we strictly adhere to the ANC Constitution and the guidelines. That's what produces these conferences. I'm certain most of you can remember the pain you had to go through when you have to convene and reconvene BGMs. That was a very painful exercise. So we are ready for them. We are very ready for them. And the NEC members worked very hard. I don't know whether there's an NEC member which I'm missing. Comrade Monica. Comrade Tina was with us from the first day. She arrived here on Thursday and she's still with us here. She's like a mother figure to us. Every time, I think I'm the only one who calls you Monica in the province. Yes, because her names are Tina Monica Jumat Peterson. So Monica is a middle name. And I've been calling her this for many years now. When I was involved in COSAS activities, I know a dreadlocked Dina Jumat. She used to have dreads. At some point, I thought that she was taking weed. And as the leader of SATU in the province and as well as the leader of the NECC, National Education Coordinating Committee, it was then known as Crisis Committee, and it got converted to a coordinating committee. A combat-ready activist then, highly energized. And so she knows me since I was at high school and heavily engaged in the activities of COSAS. So, Comrade Tina, thank you very much for your presence, and thank you very much for gracing this activity. This is your home province, and when we've got such event, very significant events, once in 4 years, we become deeply humbled when comrades who are from the province come here to support us. Yourself and Comrade Elvin, you came, supported us right throughout the work of convening this conference. We really appreciated that. You could have been doing something else, but you said you are going to dedicate these 4 days to the Northern Cape, and we are very grateful for that. We are deeply honored. So, comrades, let me also greet the newly elected Provincial Executive Committee. I see many of them are very excited. And I was asking myself, Jesus, what excites these comrades so much? Because the time of abuse has started. The time for abuses have started. You'll be abused, you'll be insulted, and you just wake up in the morning, you open the social media platform, somebody is busy abusing you. And you have to go around and ask people, but who is this person? You've never met him, you don't even know him or her, but he's just abusing him. So the stripes that we have when we serve in these positions is stripes of abuse, humiliation, insults, and all sorts of things. So welcome to that game. I'll hear some of you complaining, saying, I get geweet, mense kan so vloek. And sometimes they become extremely personal. They become extremely personal. But the best trait of a best leader is not to respond to those things and not get distracted. Just keep on doing what this conference mandated you to do. I've never heard anybody who's coming from the commission telling us that this conference mandated us to respond on each and everything that is on a social media platform. This conference does not mandate us to respond to insults. But this conference mandates us that there is massive amount of work ahead of us that we should focus on. Lots of young people are unemployed, lots of households are poor. We are sitting with a resurgence in COVID. That's what this conference is mandating us for. So the conference never asked any one of us om 'n straatman en 'n straatvrou te wees op alles antwoord wat daar is in the social media. Let people talk and you must do your work. I think that's the message that we get out of it. And let me also greet the regional leadership that is here. I think regional leaders assisted us to have the product that we have as this Provincial Executive Committee. We elected the top 5 without any elections. We elected the additional members under very difficult circumstances without any elections. All of us who are seated here on the stage, we are unopposed, uncontested. I don't know, I served with Comrade Tina in the PEC for many years. I was a child when I got elected into the PEC. I was only 26 years old. I served with Comrade Tina for many years. I found her here in the PEC. Then Elvin came and joined us as the provincial chair of the Youth League, and on top of that, he became the provincial deputy secretary. Comrade Tina served as the provincial treasurer and all of that. I don't think we've ever had a PEC where the top 5 and additional members were elected without contestation. So we are busy making history here. So those of you verdeelers van die 9de provinciale konferensie, julle is deel van geskiedenis. Yeah, that's what you are. You are part of history. So you'll be able to make reference and say, can you still remember when we were in Namakwa in 2021? The entire leadership collective was elected without contestation. Can we give the regional leaderships a nice round of applause for their contribution to that? I can still remember when they met us as the PEC, they said we are going to do our best to ensure that this conference runs smoothly. There is no contestation. When we leave this conference, we must leave this conference as a completely different African National Congress in the Northern Cape. So that's basically what happened. Thank you very much to the regional leaders. And I'm certain there is one thing that you can also pick up with our regional leaders. They are becoming younger and younger and younger and younger. They are becoming younger and younger and younger. And maybe it's that youthful eagerness that drives them to ensure that we've got different and better outcomes every time we meet as the movement. And also, Chair, let me thank the delegates to this 9th Provincial Conference. I know most of you who came here, you have to brave COVID-19 because it's always a threat, it's always a challenge to congregate people during these times of COVID. So all of you, you are here. And I've not heard anyone complaining about issues of non-compliance with COVID regulations. There's been strict compliance. Every time I meet a delegate, they are masked. Delegates are social distancing. And our delegates, you don't refuse to be sanitized. At the gate, they also take your oxygen levels to ensure that those with low oxygen, they get to hospital, but we've never had such incidences. So it's quite clear that we are closing this event with the 4 different villages here, and without any incident of COVID. And this 9th Provincial Conference is not a super spreader in any form. So we have to thank the delegates, and I think you are supposed to give yourself a nice round of applause. But for me, very interestingly, it's what the President said, it's what Comrade Joel also picked up. He said, when I was making my presentation, it was dead quiet there. And Joel says it was dead quiet, no interruptions. And they actually say this is unlike the African National Congress, where there's noise and disruption, people don't want to listen to each other and all of that. Then I said to them, it's quite clear that the ANC in the Northern Cape is turning a new leaf. That is what we are doing. We are turning a new leaf. Because French delegate said attentively listened for both presentations. With the number of people that we have here, you could have heard what falling down, a pin falling down. Comrades were listening. I don't know whether you've noticed that. I did not notice it. They raised it. People were listening attentively. And even with a whole lot of reports which were presented here, organizational reports, the finance reports, delegates were sitting, listening attentively. So we honestly need to give ourselves a nice round of applause for making this conference a very beautiful conference. Let me then, comrades, take this opportunity on behalf of the newly elected Provincial Executive Committee to express our sincere gratitude for the confidence bestowed upon us by voting branch delegates. This is a rare privilege accorded to us, and we dare not disappoint you and the people of the Northern Cape. They say to have membership of the ANC is a right, because nobody can deny you in South Africa to have membership of a political party. So you've got a right to have membership. But to lead, it's a privilege, which is bestowed upon you by structures and members. So it's not everybody who gets into leadership position, because it's a privilege to lead. Structures had to meet and take a decision that we are going to make Bentley Fast the deputy chair of the province. And that privilege we should not take for granted. That's the privilege that we should not take for granted. As we are leading here, there are 1,000 others who are standing in a queue wanting to take over these positions. They are not in these positions currently because they don't have capacity. Those who are not the provincial chair or the provincial deputy chair or the provincial secretary, it's not because they don't have capacity to occupy these positions. Within the membership of the ANC, there could be 10,000 other members who could just tomorrow morning, become the chair of the province and outperform me as the provincial chairperson and do much better than what I'm doing. So we should not think when we get elected we are the smartest in town. That's not what we should think, that we are the smartest in town. But rather we are accorded a rare privilege to serve and be off duty. That's what we got elected for here. So as we leave this town, as we leave this conference, we should walk the same way we used to walk. Wear the same shoe size that we used to wear. You know, there are comrades in size 6. If you demand a clean foot. As soon as he gets elected, yes, as he demands a spoor. Yes, most of size 12. No, all of a sudden, you can demand a spoor. Yeah, we should, if you are size 6, keep it there, remain size 6. Because these delegates saw a size 6 for a provincial executive committee member. If you become a size 12, you will confuse them. Hulle sal so ons ken nie wie hier getrap nie. As ons size 12 hier tipies, remember wat ons gekies het, it was a size 6. So our egos should not get inflated because of this rare privilege. We should not find it difficult to greet and ask comrades, how are you? Because we got elected. And we should not find it difficult to socialize with comrades in ordinary spaces because we got elected. In actual fact, our responsibility is to become more grounded now. And that's what this privilege of leadership means. Branch delegates, comrades, are the basis of any conference, and successful convention of this 9th Provincial Conference could not have been possible without the participation of the basic unit of our movement. The outgone PEC set 2 critical objectives for convening this provincial conference. And I'm certain that comrades can still remember. We said when we started here, we want to achieve 2 things. One, we want to use this conference as a platform to consolidate unity in the province. And then we said, number 2, we want to use this conference as a platform to prepare ourselves for 2021 local government elections. And the manner in which the leadership contestation was managed and handled in this conference gives clear indication that we managed to achieve these objectives. I think as we will be leaving here, we will leave here as a better African National Congress than last week. Because we will leave here more united, more energized, and combat ready to build and defend our movement. Comrade delegates, I can vouch that the dynamism, energy, and the collective experience of this newly elected PEC will enable the PEC to implement the resolutions of this conference. The principle of organizational democracy is deeply embedded in the ANC and has guided leadership succession. This is evident in our ability to convene conferences at regular intervals. Our last provincial conference was 2017 May. We've got our provincial conference now, 2021 May, regular interval. There's no free time. Contestation for leadership in the ANC is as old as the ANC itself. We need leadership succession to replenish the movement. So the issue of leadership succession is not about personalities and individuals. It's not about personalities who came in and who got out. It's about replenishing the organization, and it's about strengthening the capacity of the organization. That's what it all about, not about individuals. And in the very same vein, comrades, I want to thank all the members of the former Provincial Executive Committee who did not manage to make it to this PEC for their immense contribution in building the African National Congress over the past 4 years. Can we give them a nice round of applause? I've met some of them since we've elected the new PEC. These comrades bear no grudges. They are not angry. Absolutely no grudges. They are not angry. Saying, Comrade Chair, thanks. We had a wonderful time together, serving in the Provincial Executive Committee. Some we related some instances and we're all laughing about them. So that's leadership. You can't get out of the PEC and become smaller. When you get out of a Provincial Executive Committee, you must become bigger. When people see you, they must be impressed with the character that they've met. So somebody else must come and explain and say, no, that comrade is Zamani, he served in the PEC of the ANC. Because people are impressed with the caliber of the individual you are. You can't get out of here and be smaller. If you get out of here and be smaller, we'll be scared to get out. But if you get out of here and be bigger, make much bigger contribution to society, all of us will look forward of getting out of here. This is but just a stage. Can you see? That's the reason why they put us on a stage. Yes, we get put on a stage for a purpose. The reason why we are put on a stage is because we are like actors. We come in and out. And the best attribute of a mature leader is the fact that as soon as you get elected, you yourself must go and look for an exit. I don't know whether comrades understand what I'm saying. I'm saying the best attribute of a mature leader, let me say a revolutionary leader, when you get elected into a position of responsibility, as soon as you get into that door called a leadership room, you must look around before you do anything and ask yourself, but where's the exit here? And after you've identified here's the exit, then you do your work. Because if the people who elected you come to you and remind you and say, Chief, can you still remember we showed you the door how to get in here? Yes, I can still remember. Okay, but we are just here to show you that there's an exit somewhere here. You can get out here. Then you must know there's a problem. Yes, as soon as they remind you that there is an exit here, you must know there's a problem. So as we got elected now, we are actively looking for the exit. Because this is a stage, all of us, we are actors. This organization will only live for another 100 years if we give you an opportunity next time to be on the stage and be actors as well. That's how it works. So we need to give you an opportunity next time and be actors, and we become spectators. We watch you in action. It can't be us in action all the time. And that's what has bedeviled the post-colonial Africa. Leader gets elected, is a freedom fighter. He went to the bush, embarked in guerrilla war struggles and all of that. As soon as he gets elected as a prime minister, he becomes the president. He thinks this thing belongs to me only and nobody else. And whoever seems to challenge him, those ones get marginalized, they end up in jail, some of them end up assassinated. And in the course of history, those leaders get looked upon as dictators who turned against the value system that drove their revolutionary activism. So we don't want to land there. We don't want to land there. So we are actively looking for an exit. I already went to Daesh and said, I've seen me 8 point every year. Because there should be an exit. There can't be an entrance only, there should be an exit. So comrades, those we served with in this PEC, thank you very much for your contribution. Thank you very much for the maturity you've demonstrated in this conference. And thank you very much for handing over the baton. The baton is handed over now to a new leadership. You are here, you witness that. You are not having your own conference as well. You know, there's this thing of parallel structures now. You are not going to make it in this conference. You put up your own conference somewhere. So by the end of the day, there's 2 conferences with 2 attendance registers, with 2 sets of delegates, with 2 leadership collectives. So we end up in the Northern Cape having 2 PECs. So thank you very much. And what you did for this conference is very significant. And we appreciated that. So comrades, with all these few words, let me then thank all of you for the resolutions which were taken by this conference. These resolutions are meant to take us forward. After 4 years, this leadership collective will have to come back and report to you. Now the Constitution makes provision for a midterm Provincial General Council, which means it should take place during our 2nd term, during the 2nd year of the existence of this PEC. We'll have to come back to you and present a report on the work that we have done to ensure that we build and strengthen and defend the African National Congress in the province. But very critical as we live here. Next week, we are starting with the nomination of councillors. I don't know whether you know that. Next week, how many of you are councillors inside here? Oh, there's quite a few here. So next week we are starting with the process of nomination of councillors. There's only one thing that will make it possible for us to perform well during 2021 local government elections. There's only one thing that will make it possible. And that thing that will make it possible is the quality of the candidates that we are going to put up. Jy sien die persoon wie se gesig sal op die paal wees. That's what will make it possible for us to win these elections. That is what will make it possible for us to win these elections. I can still remember in the 90s when we did door-to-door for elections and all of that. And people would basically tell you that Makisaki, even if the ANC puts a baboon there or people, extend for the ANC as a baboon. Yeah, that's what people will tell you in the 1990s. Even if the ANC puts a baboon there, I'm just going to vote for the ANC baboon. That's what people used to tell us when we do door-to-door. But this time around, our communities have got major interest about who is the candidate. And if you put up a bad candidate, you actually put the community in a very difficult situation. If you put up a candidate that the community does not want, you put the ANC support base in a precarious situation where they have to choose between this candidate and voting for the ANC. And in most cases, what we've experienced recently is that to put up a bad candidate, they don't give the ANC the vote. That's how our communities respond now. So the issue of identification, comrades, of candidates becomes key, and as branches, let's stop gatekeeping. We must stop gatekeeping. That's what we must stop. We must stop manipulation of the process of identification of councillors. That should come to an end. We should open up this thing to communities. We should open it up to communities. Let communities give us candidates. Should be a community-driven campaign. When we get into communities, we must see communities excited, saying the ANC is giving us an opportunity now to identify from amongst ourselves who's the best to serve this ward. It should not be some kind of an arbitrary decision that we take. If we do that, we are going to make these local government elections very difficult for the ANC. If we do that, if we think we are going to take arbitrary decisions, we are going to manipulate the processes, we are going to exercise gatekeeping, we are going to make these local government elections very difficult for the movement. And we are prepared to an extent that we can entertain a proposal from a region that comes to us and say, you see this candidate, Bentley Fass, who's identified by the community, is not an ANC member. But we asked him to join the ANC. Because for him to be our candidate, he must be the member of the ANC. So we asked him to join the ANC. He joined yesterday, and we want to put him as a candidate. We are prepared to do that. Because this time around, we'll have to ensure that we've got a much better quality of ANC councillors with two key qualities. ANC councillors should be grounded. They should be grounded in their communities. I know of ward councillors, after they get elected, with their third or the fourth salary, they go and rent a flat in town. And they become visitors to their wards. Uhlale flatini, play in a flat and a door. He's a visitor to the ward. So we need councillors who are grounded, who share daily experiences with their communities. But we also need councillors with a minimum level of understanding how municipalities functions. Just a minimum level. A councillor should understand what a budget means. A councillor should understand what's the implication of having a project in the integrated development program, in the IDP, and how that relates to the budget. We can't have councillors who are rubber stampers. Everything that lands into council the only responsibility is to raise the hand and support that. We need this time around 21st century ANC councillors. That's what we need. These are smart ANC councillors. These are smart ANC councillors, 21st century, who take self-cultivation very seriously. A councillor who would come in and say, but I don't understand what a balance sheet is. Yes, who would say it? Who would say it? But I'm a councillor, I don't understand what a balance sheet is. And make an effort to understand the balance sheet. That's what we want, self-cultivation. A councillor of the ANC gets elected, he becomes a councillor. And when he gets in there, he says, I don't know what the balance sheet is. I don't know what the budget is. But when we meet the councillor again, we meet somebody that is active, working very hard to ensure that he understands what the balance sheet is and he understands what the budget is. And before the end of the year, he's in a position to engage on these matters. Because if you don't understand these things, the likelihood will end up being a squabbling councillor, complaining and moaning councillor, because you don't understand all these things. Municipalities are complex entities, comrades. And if our councillors are not strong enough, political oversight becomes weak. And when political oversight becomes weak, you get the senior managers of municipalities running amok. Every time you speak to the mayor, he will tell you, I spoke to the MM. And when the mayor says, MM, we spoke about this and this and this, and then the MM, so you know the senior management team is still working on the budget implications of this thing. Yes. So we need 21st century ANC councillors, deeply grounded in their communities, hard-working, but with a minimum level of understanding how local government functions. And you meet these ANC councillors at all times, busy, self-cultivating to improve their understanding of how local government works. So, comrades, with those few words, let me thank you for having been part and parcel of these engagements. As we go to the October local government elections, in the Northern Cape, you've got 31 municipalities, you've got 31 ANC mayors. We're in charge of all these municipalities. When, after the October elections, the ANC must remain in charge of all these municipalities with an increased majority. That's what we are working towards. We must remain in charge of all these municipalities with an increased majority. Amandla.
Viva, Chairperson, viva. Comrades, kan ons net staan tussen die loopie, comrades? Don't leave, don't leave. Comrades, please, don't leave. We are going to sing the national anthem. Okay, comrades, can you lead us with the national anthem? And then this conference will be closed. Matla.